Welcome back, or welcome to Y Option. I am your host, Yogi Roth, and today is a special summer edition of the podcast. Thank you for all of your support and hope you are having an incredible summer. Now, I want to take you back 2+ summers ago. Remember August of 2023? The old version of the Pac-12 was on the precipice of signing a media rights deal. We all know how that played out. Well, today, the new Pac-12 signs the first partner in their media rights deal moving forward, starting in the 2026 season with CBS. That's CBS, big CBS, that's Paramount Plus, and that's CBS Sports Network. Huge news in college football and huge as an anchor partner within the Pac-12. Well, who is the individual guiding these efforts? We know it's a team effort, but it's the commissioner, Teresa Gould. She's been in every meeting, every conversation, trying to steer this ship and build a new league coined the Pac-12 Conference. We all know the history of it, but this is a new vision led by her and the respective schools. So that is today's conversation. As always, every one of our conversations are brought to you by our founding partner, 76, keeping you on the go, 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 so you never miss a beat. So let's welcome in our guest today. She has been go, 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 and that's right, the commissioner of the Pac-12, talking about today's huge news as the Pac-12 Conference partners with CBS. Clearly, Commissioner Teresa Gould has also been on the go, go, go. You come back to this show, though. We're so grateful for your time, a repeat guest, and congratulations on this big news earlier today with the Pac-12 and CBS. Thank you for the time today. And what can you share with us about this pretty big time announcement from the Pac-12 Conference?
Well, Yogi, I always appreciate the opportunity to be with you and certainly appreciate your ongoing support of the Pac-12. So I am just beyond thrilled to be in this place to be able to announce CBS as our anchor partner for the new Pac-12 that'll be launching on July 1 of 2026. And as we've discussed before, as we went out into the marketplace and talked to potential media rights partners, we were really looking for three different things. One of them, obviously, is incredible exposure. CBS is a leader in the sports industry and provides incredible reach and an incredible platform for us to show the world what the new Pac-12 is going to be. Secondly, we were looking for, strong financial support and economics. In this day and age of college sports, supporting high-level, nationally relevant competitive programs certainly takes money, and we're pleased that we have the opportunity with CBS to support our programs at a high level and really get the value of what we believe our programs are worth. And then thirdly, we were really looking for a transformational partner, a partner that as we launch into this new landscape of college athletics, this new model, this new framework that we're all living under, that we had a partner that would really support us and collaborate with us to build and launch this new league and really brainstorm about how we build something really special and different for the modern day student athlete and kind of what their expectations are in this new world of college athletics that we're living in.
Okay, well, check. I think on all three of those objectives that you have. Take us in as much as you can of how did this deal come about? Because it seems as though since you took over as a commissioner of the Pac-12, I don't think you've taken half of a day off, let alone a week off of vacation, which is part of the job. I know you're not complaining about that, but how do you get this thing done? How do you get it finally across the finish line?
Well, I will say it has been an incredibly reassuring process. Back in September, when we launched the announcement of the new league, when we announced that we were adding the Mountain West programs, and then ultimately when we also announced that we were adding Gonzaga, I will say, Yogi, my phone was literally ringing off the hook. There were tons of potential media rights partners all over the country, including CBS. So I think the level of interest that we got back in the fall when we announced the launch of the new league with our exciting new members, CBS was one of the kind of early adopters that jumped in and said, we want to be part of this. We believe in the Pac-12 brand. We believe in the history and the legacy of what it stands for. And we believe in the membership and the profile and the competitiveness of the programs that you've added to launch the new league. So I've had the pleasure of spending lots of time in New York with the CBS executives. We've also, had time together in San Antonio at the Final Four and in San Francisco during NBA All-Star Game, and have really built, strong relationships. We certainly have a relationship with CBS that predates the launch of this new league, and those strong relationships and collaboration kind of coupled with their interest in the new league and their support of what we're building has really been extraordinary. So it's been a lengthy process going back to the fall just to make sure that we were on the same page about, the important work that we have to do together in front of us. And I think the timing of the launch of this new league really aligns well with what they're trying to do to continue to build their presence and their strength in the college sports broadcasting space.
CBS has been synonymous with college football and, of course, March Madness in college basketball as well. It was the SEC, the Big Ten, now it's the Pac-12. Can you share any of the details of what games might be on CBS? Well, the championship games in football and basketball will be on CBS. How will this all lay out for those two sports specifically?
Yeah, well, to your point, I mean, they do have a strong presence both in college football and in, college basketball, particularly with their rights of the NCAA basketball tournament. So, we're excited about having the opportunity for broadcast windows alongside the Big Ten, which will be, great college football for us with that product. And we'll obviously also have a cable presence within, CBS Sportsnet. So a good mix of exposure, both in terms of broadcast free to air as well as cable. And then there will be exposure both for our football championship game as well as our men's basketball tournament. So we're really excited to have our kind of premier properties, our premier events for our student athletes on kind of the biggest platform and the biggest reach alongside their other premium sports programming.
How does it work if you could take us into the room with presidents, ADs, when you get an offer and interest from a company like CBS and you present it to the group? How does it eventually get sifted through, or is it automatic? Like, CBS, let's go. This is going to be an amazing partner for us.
Well, the whole process, Yogi, has been really interesting because we're in such a unique position in that we don't have incumbent partners or incumbent packages, if you will. In a normal situation, you would kind of go out into the media rights sales process and you would have incumbent partners and you would have kind of preset packages of games and inventory. And we're really starting from scratch. Like, I talk a lot about the blank slate mentality and kind of starting anew and creating something new and different. And so this sales process was completely different than anyone I've ever been involved in, because we had the opportunity to go to these potential partners and say, what is it that you want? What are your interests? What are your must-haves? How does our vision align with your strategy around live sports? In the case of CBS and our board, Yogi, I think, we essentially had more interest in our inventory and our packages than we had games, right? We're still a relatively small league in terms of number of members and number of games. And CBS really rose to the top for all the reasons I mentioned before. The platform that they provide, the reputation that they have, their presence in the sports broadcasting space, and the reach of their platform, kind of coupled with their economic support and their recognition of the value of our league, and then kind of the mindset around transformation and let's do something different. So it was a pretty easy yes from our board that when CBS expressed an interest in being our anchor partner, it kind of rose to the top, and our board was thrilled to support the package and move forward with the announcement.
Interesting that you said, like, this was a blank slate, right? To your point, like, there weren't necessarily pre-existing relationships with the way the new Pac-12 was going to operate. So I'm kind of curious. Oftentimes you see media rights deals and you see all of them come out, all the partners, where the games are going to go. It seems like since you've been commissioner, it's been phased in, whether it's the teams adding or now with the media rights that you'll see after this coming season with CBS announcement earlier today. What can you share with us? Because I know fans will be wondering of these schools and around the country, like, all right, who else is in on the Pac-12? Who else has been blowing up your phone?
Well, Yogi, I'm glad you brought up this idea of a phased approach because all along we've had a plan, we've had a strategy, and we've been very disciplined about sticking with the plan and sticking to the strategy. And I think it's really easy to kind of react and kind of jump to quick decisions when there's a lot going on in the landscape around you. And I think we've been really disciplined about being patient and getting it right. And at the end of the day, what we're building is something new and different. We're doing something that nobody's done for several decades in our business. So the phased approach, I think, lends it to kind of being patient and allowing opportunities to develop. I've been saying all along that once we get our media rights to completion or to near completion, enough where we have a sense of who our partners are and what the economics look like, we would then pivot back to our membership strategy. And I think we're at that point. I think, we have incredible alignment in our room with the board and the ADs. We know what we're looking for. We know what our media rights partners are interested in terms of investment and competitiveness and nationally relevant brands. And now that we have our anchor partner done and announced, we absolutely are in conversations and will continue conversations with prospective members to take the next step. Probably not the final step around future membership, but at least solidify the next step and that eighth all sports member to be able to fulfill our FBS requirements and get a football schedule done, Yogi. I know there's a lot of people that are interested in seeing what that 2026 football schedule will look like.
Ready, set. Use French fries to go. Yeah, oil from French fries. Turn yesterday's leftovers into today's fuel. More power, lower emissions. 76 renewable diesel fuels all the ways you go, go, go.
I feel like, all of us, we became media rights experts over the last 5 years, just because that's been a part of everybody's life. But June 30th has always been like a date. Like if you don't get out by then you have to pay a grant of rights. And we all became pseudo experts. I joke when I say that because everybody's just been immersed in it, I think to a large degree. Nobody more so than you probably over the last year and a half, 2 years. Does that date hold a lot of weight? Like can people start to anticipate that maybe that new member might be announced prior to that date, or is it a totally different set of rules where we sit today?
I would say that there is no hard and fast set of rules because every conference is a little bit different. Like at the end of the day, the FBS requirement is that we have an eighth football all sports member in place by July 1 of 2026. Every conference has different exit provisions and withdrawal timelines that they're subjected to. I think for us, more than anything, there are operational imperatives to us kind of moving forward our strategy and solidifying our membership, right? We're 13 months out from the launch and we do need to start to get schedules solidified and figure out, our approach to championships and all those things. I do think we're uniquely suited in that regard because of everything that's changing around us. We have an opportunity to really create something new and different than other leagues. So certainly we want to move these conversations along in a timely fashion to inform our strategy and our operational approach. But there is no hard and fast timeline or deadline. And relatively speaking, all of these prospects are on different timelines with their own conference commitments.
Your opening press conference, when you took this job, you said we're going to be bold, aggressive, intentional, and open-minded. You just talked about that intentionality, that discipline. How hard is it when you reference the calendar that you just said, right? Like the time is going to happen before you know it in terms of the new league starting. I mean, heck, we're around the corner from training camps and the season, and there's still a season with Washington State and Oregon State in this version of the Pac-12. I'm curious as a leader, like how do you navigate the pull, maybe a quick reaction here versus no, we have to stay the course? Because now you're talking to not just two schools, but as you referenced, many more and a potential one more here in coming months.
Yeah, I think, you referenced, kind of the history and what I personally and our team have been through over the last, 18 to 24 months. And I actually think that has taught me a lot and helped me to kind of be patient and let the plan and let the strategy unfold. The reality is we don't have control over a lot of the timelines and swirling, shifting things that are going on around us. And it's way more important that we get it right than get it done fast. We have a lot of folks on our team that are, trying to implement operational plans. And I know they're chomping at the bit to have answers. And our fans who care a great deal about these decisions are chomping at the bit for clarity and decisions. My focus is getting it done right for the long haul so that we're building something that meets all of our aspirational goals and that our communities and our fans will be excited about.
Rev share has been a topic of conversation over the course of the last year and definitely over the course of the last couple of weeks. How about when it comes to this media rights deal, though? We've seen conferences, whether it's the ACC, or we've heard it from other conferences of should schools make more, should they make less? Like, how have you navigated what you can share with us in the room around the ideals or the lenses that the new schools have within the Pac-12 as the first true media rights deal is completed with all the teams?
Well, I would say, back to my comment earlier about the blank slate and the opportunity that we have is we are launching a new league for the first time it's been over 25 years since somebody has done this. And we're doing it in a climate and a landscape where everything around us is shifting and changing. So we have had an opportunity, Yogi, to partner with our board and our athletic directors and other campus stakeholders to come up with a financial model around sharing of conference revenues that makes sense and that is defensible and that is based on metrics and brand and competitiveness and incentivizing our schools to invest and compete at the highest level. We feel very strongly, and the metrics support that we are a top 5 conference in this country. We've always competed at the highest level. We will continue to compete at the highest level. The football and men's basketball metrics speak for themselves. And the model that we have really supports and incentivizes our schools to continue to invest to meet those goals.
Yeah, I think even in the press release, when I saw 6 of the current 7 football teams have been in the AP top 25 for the last 4 years, I live on the West Coast, cover the West Coast as well as anybody, I think. And it does kind of hit you like, whoa, that's pretty cool. Like, to your point, being a top 5 league. So where do you net out when it comes to the playoff? There's been so much dialogue around these conferences of what model do you support? I'm curious what the conversations are like among those successful football programs of the model that maybe they desire and the one that you're echoing with the other commissioners.
Yeah, we've had a lot of conversation about it. And as you can imagine, I've spent a lot of time in the CFP management committee room talking about it. And I think, a couple things to focus on for me, whatever metrics are used for selection or whatever metrics are used for access to the championship. And I say that because there's been a lot of conversation about, an allocation model, as I call it. And I personally believe that the current metrics over the last 4 years, the era of the transfer portal and NIL, those are the most relevant recent metrics. I believe that the metrics don't actually support an allocation model at this time. And I would be more supportive of some of the conversations that allow access, for the 5 highest ranked conference champions, but allow more access through an at-large system where student athletes get to compete on the field to get to that championship, right? I think it makes the regular season more exciting. I think, it creates a lot of interest from the fans. And I would also say, Yogi, the most recent example that I would give is when you look at what happened in the sport of baseball, and you look at who is showing up in Omaha for the College World Series and what conferences they came from, I think that underscores my point about let's play it out on the field and let the student athletes that we're here to serve compete for access to those championships and not have allocations predetermined based on outdated metrics.
Talking about student athletes a lot. You've been around student athletes for the entirety of your career in so many different roles. I couldn't have imagined, I don't know if you could have imagined 15, 20, 25 years ago that we'd be sitting here today after the House settlement and the payout to athletes about to happen. Huge fan of it on this end. I know you are as well in supporting student athletes. What's been the lens on it from your seat as the commissioner of the Pac-12, talking to your schools as, it's a seismic shift? Be curious your thoughts on it. And if you think that is the answer, or if you think that is just the next answer and we'll continue down another path.
Yeah, first I would just reiterate what you just mentioned, which is I do think it's the right thing for student athletes. I think we have an obligation to deliver to our student athletes the experience that they have earned and expect. And in this day and age, part of the expectation and the experience is acceleration of their economic value, right? So I think the model is the right model. I also think that the Pac-12 is in a great position in this new framework that was just approved through the House settlement. Again, we're the only league that essentially is launching a completely new league in July of 2026. So we have the opportunity to build something that is relevant to cater to and respond to what we're hearing from the modern day student athlete, not the student athlete mindset or model from 5 years ago, 10 years ago, or 20 years ago, but what are we hearing from our student athletes today? And how do we create a new league in this new revenue sharing framework that is positioned to thrive in that model? And I think because of Pac-12 Enterprises and other assets that we have, I do think we're uniquely positioned to succeed in that new model. Look, there's still a lot of details that have to be worked out, but I do believe strongly, and we've been intimately involved in the implementation of the settlement terms. I do believe the model and the framework that we've put in place moving forward is better than where we've been. There's absolutely still work to be done in terms of federal solutions around state laws and some of the other things that need to be addressed. But I think it's a huge step forward to provide clarity, to provide support for our student athletes, and for us personally to position ourselves in this new world that we're going to be living in.
I want to follow up on something you said a few times now of like, basically you had a clean slate, to paraphrase the way you said that, rebuilding and building this new league, as you referenced with the new Pac-12. I think in sports, let's just take football, my expertise, like it's a copycat league to a large degree, right? The Rams run this, okay, then the Niners are going to run it the next week. Like we've seen that happen all the time. I think in the world of collegiate athletics, like there's certain playbooks, whether that's how you build out your scheduling, how you travel, how you host a championship game, like those are shared among groups. For you leading this effort with a clean slate, what is it like to be you in that regard? And on one hand, you got this playbook, you've been around for a long time now. I mean, you are clearly dramatically experienced in this craft. And hey, let's go be creative. Let's think differently. Let's look at it through a different lens. What is that tension like for you as the commissioner of this league?
I actually think it's really exciting and fun, but not easy, right? Because to your point, we very much do live in a copycat industry. And I happen to be one of many people who have spent most of my 36 years in higher education and college athletics. So it's not easy to kind of flip a switch and see things through a different lens, but it absolutely is an imperative for us. Like everything around us has changed. We can't operate the way we've always operated, and we can't operate the way everybody else operates. Like that playbook won't work for us to achieve what we want to achieve. So we spend a lot of time within our organization and with our ADs and our board talking about how do we think differently? How do we solve problems differently? What ideas should we say yes to that nobody else has been willing to say yes to? And how do we create the kind of unconference conference moving forward that looks different than everything else? But that's not an easy thing to do. Like changing people's mindset and changing the way that you've always done things takes a lot of intentionality and a lot of work to kind of constantly challenge yourself, both individually and collectively, to think about things differently. And it also, requires us to bring in people from outside of our bubble to kind of help us ideate and think about things differently.
You referenced the media side of the Pac-12 conference. You reference Enterprises is led by Michael Molinari, where, the CW games, they're produced out of the Pac-12 headquarters where the Enterprises are, where you're producing games, where you're watching halftime shows. How much of a resource was that in the announcement you made today with CBS and really moving forward in terms of being able to operate a production facility, a full service production facility out of where the Pac-12 was based and is still based from at least the production standpoint?
Yeah, I would say the decision that our board made a year ago to retain Pac-12 Enterprises as a go-forward asset was monumental in terms of our media rights strategy and will be monumental in terms of our revenue strategy and our NIL strategy moving forward. As we went out into the marketplace to talk to potential media rights partners, to be able to say to them, not only are we asking for you to, license and broadcast our games, but hey, by the way, we can not only produce all of the Pac-12 games in a really cost-effective and efficient way, but oh, by the way, do you have other programming and other live sports that we can partner with you on? So I would say the fact that we bring high quality, cost-effective production to the table helped us with our own rights and also helped us tremendously with kind of our long-term revenue strategy and leveraging that asset moving forward. I also think we're thinking about Pac-12 Enterprises very much relative to our revenue sharing strategy and NIL. Like NIL is all about content and, kind of student athlete brand. And we're sitting on this incredible multimedia content creation asset that we believe we can leverage to position us moving forward in this new world.
Oh, I like the idea of that. Content for the athletes. Yes, yes, and yes. I want to finish with a couple things here. You reference what Washington State and Oregon State did in terms of moving forward with enterprises as an asset. They saw it as a positive. This league, and I lived it, was on the brink of folding up, selling off the assets. And then those two schools said, no, we're going to compete. We're going to fight. We're going to show up. We're going to do what the ethos of the entire history of our universities and athletic departments have done. I know you don't get to take a breath very often or catch your breath very often because you're always moving. But I can't help but think back to those reports, those conversations of, is the thing just going to get sold off to now? Like you're talking about a brand new league, something that hasn't been done in you reference quite a long time. When you sit in that thought, I'm curious what comes to mind.
Well, I think you're right. I don't sit in that thought very often because there's a lot of work in front of us to build something great. I will say the times that I do sit in it is, I've had an opportunity throughout the last 6 to 9 months to spend time in Corvallis, to spend time in Pullman. And it's not lost on me the important responsibility that I have on their behalf because of how much they care. And they not only care about their athletic programs, but they actually care about the Pac-12. They care about the brand. They care about the legacy. They care about continuing that banner long into the future for their student athletes and their communities. So I think it only sits with me when I am in front of student athletes and coaches and alumni and donors and just how much they care and how much it means to them. And then I've had an opportunity to kind of expand that by visiting all of our new campuses. And you go to some of these campuses and you see banners all over campus that say Path to the Pac. And you talk to some of these legendary coaches like Mark Few at Gonzaga, and you listen to how much this means to them and the trajectory of their program and how proud they are to be associated and be part of the future Pac-12. That's when I take a step and I go, you know what, we're doing something great.
Yeah, as you should. We have a season upon us that is not one with all of these new members that are already announced and one that will be coming hopefully in the near future. You got a unique season. Oregon State and Washington State in football are going to play each other twice. What is it like having to plan for the launch of a brand new league that is fully formed and the interim of where these two schools sit here with a game, less than 3 months away?
Well, Yogi, I think I'm learning to be a master juggler at kind of juggling lots of really, really important strategic priorities. Certainly while we are finishing off our media rights and adding new members and working on our strategic vision for the future and working on the operational launch plan, we always remember that we still have two institutions for one more year that we are here to serve and support. And, we will support those two football programs all the way through the season. We're excited about their competitive prospects. We're excited about our media rights partners for the fall of 2025. We will put on a great wrestling championship. We will put on a great track and field event. from the very beginning, we said that we didn't want the student athletes on those two campuses to feel any step back in terms of support from us. And so we have one more year where it will continue to be a priority to support those programs, those two programs at a high level, and support those student athletes in their endeavors as we lead up to the launch of the new league.
Well, congratulations. A huge step today, partnership with CBS Sports Network, Paramount Plus, etc. And I know it does not happen overnight. I know you've worked tirelessly, you and your team and these schools, and of course CBS as well. Congratulations, Teresa Gould. A huge day for the Pac-12 that should be celebrated.
Thanks, Yogi.
Got it. There it is. Commissioner Teresa Gould coming back again. Looking forward to having you back on one more time. You know, when you announce that next school and those media rights deals, you always got an opportunity to come on. Okay. Anytime you want.
Love it.
All right.
Love it. Happy to do it.
All right. There it is. For more, just go to yoption.com. Make sure you get in your inbox Teresa Gould in college football from the lens of the West Coast.